Hello and welcome. It's Korner K2, episode 6, I think.
It's a nice cold open, guys.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty sure episode 6.
Is it episode 6?
I think. 'Cause I think, did the last mission take 4 episodes to do? Or the first one take 3 or 4 episodes? I want to say 3. I can look. Hold on. I can look at my folder of the K2 videos. It is episode 6. Ha ha ha. I am a genius.
Bro, big man on campus literally has human retention.
Yeah, I can count to 6. I know. Honestly, IQ
Wow.
like 250.
I don't know how you do it.
I know. It's astonishing. I can also
Sometimes
recite the
I'm
alphabet.
frightened by my own
Yeah,
genius.
sometimes I am frightened by my genius. It frightens me. Yeah, last time on Dragon Ball Z, our group of intrepid adventurers and monster hunters and monsters were invited to a lovely night on the town to attend a play performance in the Sanger Theater of New Orleans, Louisiana, where they encountered an extra-dimensional being, an avatar of Nyarlathotep, who used the anomalous properties of this anomalous play to basically like start a riot and open a portal to a pocket dimension of undead.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say, start a good time.
I
I
mean
was
that
having
too.
fun.
Yeah, the play was pretty sick. I'm not gonna lie. I think everybody but GVH had a hoot of a time.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah, GVH got like punted through a wall. That was pretty fun. And then I concluded with the Great Martyrs basically telling GVH that this is above his pay grade, and then he shouldn't worry about it. Shouldn't think about it too much. Yeah. So we reopen on a lovely sterile conference room, the same conference room that we've seen dozens of times previous. Once again, with the whole team assembled, uh, you know, X and Battlecock are no longer wheeled in on dollies and chained down and like held in handcuffs and stuff. The Furies aren't present, notably absent. But you're all in the conference room as usual, chilling. You got your coffee, got your morning tea, any other drink you might like. Prospect has his flask of whiskey and his tea. And of course, at the head of the table is you're the group's handler, head agent McLafferty. And she's over there, got a robotic arm, and she is, as always, sifting through paperwork, kind of standing at the edge of the table. And she's like, "All right, gentlemen, now that you're all assembled, we can begin the briefing." So she, leaves through some papers and pulls out a like an invoice, basically, that she slides over to the middle of the room. And she's like, "That, gentleman, is an invoice from the Diamonds Rush Mining Company, which is a northwest United States and into Canada mining conglomerate, most well known for their deep mining operations. They are also one of the big companies in the world that is run by goblins, which is just a little fun fact. And Diamonds Rush has specifically requested our best team of investigators. So naturally, I summoned you guys because apparently, according to the spokesperson I corresponded with, one of their sites in northern Idaho is experiencing strange paranormal activity that the company believes is fake. They think that the workers are lying and producing these phenomenon in order to excuse their refusal to work. The company thinks they're using it as a kind of like unspoken protest or like strike against the company. So they've hired us to go in and get to the bottom of this as quick as possible. Prove, I guess they think, prove that they're right, that the workers are fabricating all of it, and make the workers get back to work by either solving the problem or bringing evidence to the company that the phenomena is fabricated.
Okay.
You guys,
Well, as your best investigator, I think this will be no problem at all.
like, yeah, I don't expect there to be any issues. I don't think it'll take you guys particularly long, but just in case, I have arranged room and board at the site's like tavern and hotel there. It was called like the Three Turnips Inn, something like that. You'll see it when you get there. You'll also be meeting initially with the site's manager and spokesperson, a goblin man that I spoke to over the phone. His name is Adrian Jarab. He is high strung, shall we say, but it's kind of expected. Goblins are strange folk, very economical, and yeah, so just head over there, check it out, talk to some of the employees, talk to the manager, investigate, hold up some stakeouts, figure out what's going on. We did, produce some orbital satellite scans of the site, looking for magic and the like. And she pulls out a couple of big, like printed out photographs from the middle of folder, and she slides them all over to you guys. And she's like, and we took these satellite photographs, checking for magic, checking for reality manipulation, checking for any kind of weird energy readings. We did get some, but after further investigation, it was discovered that the site is mining like magical crystals, basically, alongside mundane minerals, gold, copper. So we believe that the large collection of semi-magical minerals and materials is interfering with the scanning devices and keeping us from actually telling if there's something really going on or not. So you'll have to go there yourselves and have a look-see, have a look around. Yeah, that's all I've got. Have any questions?
They really don't believe that it's nothing, do they? Because
well,
would they really call us if it was nothing?
Well, the company seems to be convinced that there's nothing going on. The workers, however, are entirely convinced, or at least appear to be convinced, that there is something going on. So, something probably is going on, if I had to bet, because some of the things that I were described to me, they could be fabricated, I guess, but it would require a lot of effort. Testimonies that I heard the manager, Mr. Jarab, talk about, whispers on the wind, sudden cold drafts and drops in temperature, lights flickering out for no reason, objects being moved randomly without anybody claiming to have moved them, scratches along the walls and windows of buildings, feeling of being watched, and far more worryingly, there have been several cave-ins, drownings, disappearances, bouts of insanity, disappearances, and a couple of suicides among the working men of the mines. And the company claims that the workers are lying about the cave-ins and stuff, and the drownings and the suicides, because the workers don't want to be investigated for unsafe practices. So they're blaming their own negligence on ghosts, basically on paranormal activity, or whatever they think is down there or around. Whether or not I personally think that there's something going on, I think there could be, but it's all
It's totally possible.
Yeah, it's possible that it could be fake, but it's possible that it could be real. We just don't know. The evidence could be fabricated, um, or it could not be, or it could just be a big coincidence. Who knows? But supposedly they contacted the JPC specifically because they wanted this to be handled as fast as possible and with a degree of subtlety, uh, just in case something was going on. You know, they didn't want to hire like some random PI from the local village and have him get ganked in a dark, deep mine shaft in the middle of nowhere by like a giant crab or something.
Ah, yes, the giant crabs of Idaho.
I'm writing that down.
The giant burrowing crabs,
The
I
giant
mean.
bro, I'm writing that down right now. Giant burrowing
The
crabs of
giant
Idaho.
burrowing crabs of Idaho, of course.
I know a monster I'm adding between sessions.
Nice. Spontaneous lore is the best lore.
Bro, for real.
Absolutely.
Cool. So yes,
Man, the fairies are really missing out on important conversation.
they're gonna show next session. You're like, why is there a giant burrowing crab in Idaho? And we're like, you don't know? You don't know about the giant burrowing crabs of Idaho?
You don't know the new sensation that's sweeping the nation?
Yeah.
Giant burrowing crabs.
Of Idaho. God, it's best lore. I'm a professional writer. So yeah, yes. You guys have any other questions? Let me know. And if I can't answer them, then maybe Mr. Jarab or the workers at the site can lend some more light. I can say in terms of backup, there will be none. The site does have.
When is there any?
Well, there's occasionally some. Like with the theater attack, we got some guys to kind of clean everything up. But in this case, you're literally in like the middle of the mountains, the Rocky Mountains in Idaho. It's like a couple of 100 miles to the nearest like village, basically, like nearest town. The mining site does have like a dozen or so mercenaries that are on the company's payroll, to keep like thefts and to scare away like the wolves and stuff like that. So they are armed with basic rifles and stuff, and they know how to use them. So you guys have them if you needed to, take care of business, I guess, and you guys couldn't do it or couldn't handle it. I wouldn't rely on them though. They're kind of
iffy.
Yeah, I mean they're
On
mercenaries.
the company's payroll.
Yeah. I mean they work for a company willing to like. She's like, okay, and she kind of like leans over the table and she's like, I didn't want to say this out loud. That's why I gave you the invoice there. They're willing to make an incredibly substantial donation to our corporation's efforts if we prove that the phenomena is fake.
Huh.
So that should tell you all you need to know about this company and the people that work for them. So all I'm saying is if you do find evidence something is actually going on, be very careful because these guys might try to cover it up.
I'd like to see them try.
Like, I know, but just keep it in mind.
Like, so some stuck-up CEO is sending for a top-tier team of paranormal investigators and thinks that if we find something and we end up saying something about it, he's going to cover us up.
Well, I think they more asked for the top team of investigators to go and investigate this because I guess they figured that you have like the authority to where if you tell the workers that this is all fake, they'll like placebo into believing it. So like even if you do find something and you say that it's fake, then they'll just be like, oh, it's nothing, and they'll go back to work. I'm assuming. Hence the bribe, the very substantial bribe, with like several zeros. Like I'm talking like 7 zeros at the end of that number. So it is a large sum of money
Okay, I think I get it now. JVH is gonna start formulating a plan because I don't know if I should tell McLafferty. I probably should, but this may or may not count as corporate espionage.
I mean, yeah, let it fly.
Okay, so JVH is gonna like put both elbows on the table and be like, "All right, look, we want the money, and we want to find out what's happening. So if we go there, find something, tell the workers, look, we did find something, but we have it under control. Just be a little more careful while you're working. Um, and go in like pairs. Then we get and act like everything's fine. Then we get the money. We take care of whatever's down there, and then, you know, the company thinks that their workers are like, oh yeah, they found it and it's fine.
She's like, well, if you do find something and you kill it without telling anybody, or you get rid of it, whatever, killed the burrowing crabs, or you lift the curse, or you, I don't know, bless the rains in Africa, and you fix the problem before the company realizes, and you just tell them, yeah, it was nothing. And yeah, that probably would work. Whether or not it's corporate espionage, no. Fraud, maybe? Because the bribe is
Well,
illegal in itself, so I don't think they
absolutely.
would really, I mean, it isn't technically a bribe, but like it's a bribe. So I don't think, like, even if they figured out you lied, I don't think
I
they'd do anything
don't
about it.
think anybody's gonna care.
Yeah, as long as like the company only wants their workers to go back to bloody work, they don't care how you do it because they've already tried to bring in strike breakers and that didn't work. So, and you'll see why it didn't
Fair
work
enough.
because the workers mean business. But they tried that, so they're like, okay, well, what if we like play into this, the hallucinations a little bit, and hire these investigators to do it. Uh, so, I honestly, just like, I don't know. The company could already know there's something down there and just want you guys to go and kill it, or they could not know, or they could pretend to not know, or they could just want your money. I don't know. They,
Well, I mean, we're not paying them anything, are we?
they could try to like mug you or something, I guess, but it wouldn't be very, or it wouldn't be worth it. But like I said, I
This
don't
is
know.
true, yeah.
These are goblins, right? They aren't stupid. They mean business.
Fair enough.
Like, so yeah, you
I mean,
go there, figure it out, do whatever you feel is right.
mm,
I'll back you up.
sick nasty. All
Any
right, well,
any further questions?
floor's open.
Pastor Buck's like, nope, all good here. Nothing to complain about.
Good, because no one will listen anyway.
Like, well, in that case, he just begins complaining about every little thing you possibly find.
Just non-stop whinging.
Yeah. But yeah, if nobody else has anything to inquire about, then I was like, all right, fantastic. Just head over to uh, the airfield, and the private jet will take you guys to the nearest airfield in Idaho, and then a car will bring you guys over.
All right.
All right, so you guys pack up your things, you head over, you you get in the private jet, you do the flying thing,
Oh yeah.
and you guys make it to the airfield in Idaho. From there, you are brought to via an off-road jeep driven by one of the company's employees. You are brought to the mining camp, the map of which is provided in the map chat. So you can have a quick look at that. You guys will be arriving from that like red bridge over the little waterfall river, bottom right corner, and then you'd be driving up that little dirt road, and then the jeep kind of parks in the initial kind of clump of buildings, and lets you all out with your, little duffel bags of luggage and stuff. Boston probably doesn't need it because he has his mansion now that he can just summon, so he doesn't need extra clothes. But I mean, so yeah,
Fair enough.
because they are let out, and the driver's like, all right, the manager should be around here. Like, oh, I think it's over there, and he points through the jeep, like windshield or whatever, and kind of across the way, closer to Area 12, which is a big church. And you see this short goblin man, dressed in, like, a very, very fine, like, custom tailored black suit, little tiny black fedora. He has like a bunch of rings on his fingers and like bangles on his wrists, a big Rolex, a big gold
So he's an
watch.
asshole.
Of course. What do you expect? This guy, this goblin man, probably like 4 foot, super short, because he's a goblin. He is arguing.
Because he's a goblin.
Yeah, he's arguing with probably the largest human any of you have ever seen in your lives. This man is built like a barn. Like he's like 6.5 feet tall, easy, maybe even more than that. But like the Rock, like he is super, super jacked. He has 2 big, like sledgehammer tattoos on his forearms.
I love it.
But they're styled like the like Thor's like Mjolnir, the Norse kind of detailing in the hammers. And it looks he's super big. He's also wearing like really scuffed up and beaten up like half plate armor, like a actual like, metal cuirass, metal greaves, and like thigh plates and stuff. He has like a newspaper boy cap on, little flat cap on his head. Nice beard, scars all over him, tattoos. And he's arguing with this really tiny goblin guy, and it's like watching like David argue with Goliath. It's pretty funny. And you can't tell what they're saying from this distance, but they are really enthusiastic about their arguing. I can provide the artwork for this big guy because he is an important NPC.
He's a big boy.
He is a big boy. Where is he? Here we go. So yeah, that's what he looks like, wearing his half plate.
Here. Oh boy, that's
Yeah,
a big boy.
He's a big lad. So yeah,
That's
he's
a big old boy.
He's arguing with this goblin in a super nice suit of this jewelry and stuff. And there are a couple of the miners, you assume, kind of gathered behind the big dude, and they're not arguing; they're just kind of like watching and like moral support.
We're here with you, bud.
Yeah. So yeah, the driver's like, yeah, I think that's the manager. You might want to go over there before the shooting starts. And then the driver just kind of puts the Jeep in reverse and just backs up. Like, back down the road. Like, nope, I'm leaving.
It's a fat nope. Alright, yeah. I guess we approach now.
Alright. So, the 4 of you, if you include Battlecock, walk up to this argument. And as guys approach, you hear that they're arguing about, the goblin guy. He's arguing for the workers to get back to mining, and the big dude whose voice is like a bass drum. Like his voice is like like inhumanly deep almost. He's arguing with this goblin guy, being like, sir, like, come on, like, we're not going back to work. People have died in the mines. People get like attacked in the middle of the night. Something's going on. People are terrified to leave their houses. We're not going back to work. And the goblin guy's like, oh, you'll go back to work? You're all fired. And the big guy's like, you won't fire us because nobody will work here because it's cursed. And the goblin guy's like, it's not cursed. You're all just lying, yada, yada, yada. And you guys walk up to this argument. And the goblin guy, he kind of clocks you out of the corner of his eye. And he stops mid-sentence. And he turns. And he turns back to the big guy. And he's like, look what you've done. You're scaring our guests. Now, shoo, get out of here. And he kind of, waves with his tiny goblin hand at the big guy. And the big fella, he turns to you guys and he tips his cap. And then he, like, finger with a really loud, like, whistle. And him and all of his guys start walking back across the big field towards the, like this big collection of, like very basic, like, shed huts where the miners live.
As he tips his hat, I will give him a like I would tip my hat to you, but I don't have a hat.
Yeah,
like that kind of nod.
Yeah, a little like nod. Yeah, Boxer tips his Indiana Jones wide brim fedora because of course he wears one.
Indiana Jones branded.
Can I like do a flourish, with my wizard hat?
Yes, you kind of like spin your wizard hat like a Beyblade on your head, just like that character from GoldenEye with a bowler hat that can cut people's heads off. What's his name?
Oddjob.
Oddjob.
Yeah, I know my James Bond lore. Yeah, so you all tip your hats, metaphorical or physical, and he turns and walks away. And the goblin guy's like, sorry about that, gentlemen. Sorry about that. These guys, they don't respond to the gentle encouragement or like positive reinforcement. You gotta really lay it on them for them to respond. But please, welcome to our little temporary village here. I assume you're all the investigators that the company hired.
Well, is it not obvious?
Like, I mean, I assumed with the chicken, but I don't know.
Most people do. Yes, that would be us.
Most people do. And like, oh well, great. Please, gentlemen, let me give you the tour of the place here.
This guy is giving me real big Charlie Day vibes.
Yeah, this guy is like a used car salesman, but like a really rich used car salesman. The owner of the used car lot, the king of the sleazebags. Like, please, I can give you a quick tour of the place, and he begins to lead you guys around, and he tells you what the buildings are, and he points out the church, which is a big. It is a Roman Catholic church, church. And the goblin's like, yeah, us goblins, we don't got a religion, but the miners, they're all either Catholic or they're part of the Church of Latter-day Marksmen. So we've got the church for them. Services every Sunday. If you guys want to go, I don't care for it, but you guys do you. And then he leads you over and tells you that number 9 is like a warehouse where they store all the minerals. 8 are the huge industrial piles of like crushed rock and rubble that they dig out of the ground. Shows you that where the hovels are. In terms of the things that aren't labeled on the map that I provided, 13 through 17, area 13 is a graveyard, a pretty big graveyard, suspiciously large, as a matter of fact. Number 14 is the headquarters for the mercenaries. It's like a little, like a big watchtower, like barracks for them. 15 is the tavern where you guys will be staying. The goblin guy's like, yeah, it's 3 turnips in. It's where the miners go every couple of days, and they party really hard on the weekends and stuff. Some of them get a little bit too into the drink, but It's not my problem. Uh, Area 16 is the commercial district, so general store, clothing stores, electronic stores, um, gardening supplies, spare tools. Also, the company shop where the workers have to buy their picks and drills and saws and stuff like that. Um, yes, it is like 16 tons. And this is basically like wage slavery. Um, and then 17 is the manager's mansion. He's like the only like one of the more permanent looking buildings here. It's like an actual like 2-story like house. Very out of place in the middle of this open field in the middle of the mountains, but it looks nice. Um, and then what other areas are different? He does point out the old quarry to the north of you guys, with this huge stone arch that looks man-made, but you can't imagine the miners would have put it there, because it's quite big.
Okay.
Probably like close to 100 feet tall. It's pretty big. It's big stone arch. He's like, yeah, past the arch is the abandoned quarry. That's the first site we use to dig up stone for the buildings and for concrete and stuff, and the process for trace minerals. But a couple of months ago, actually more like a year ago, the company found traces of like gold and copper and stuff and deeper in the mountains. So we shut the quarry down and we open up these mine shafts, tunnels, a couple of months ago to start mining at the more precious stuff. And he gives you the tour. He notably does not outright mention the Druidic shrine that's to the north of the abandoned quarry, but you all see it.
Would I be able to point that out?
If you wanted, yeah.
What's all this about?
Like, oh, that's don't.
Yeah, that.
That's some old standing stones. It was here before the quarry got put. It's some centuries old, like shrine circle place or whatever. That like the natives built a long time ago. And when the company bought the land, the CBPA came by and they ordered us to not disturb the shrine. So we built the quarry a little bit over, so we wouldn't disturb the shrine because God forbid, bump into some rocks. Am I right? and and he seems to be totally dismissive of the shrine. And he's like, yeah, it's still there. We can't we can't interfere with it because of the conservation laws. It's like a cultural landmark or whatever. So,
okay,
nobody goes near it. I've not been there myself. But it's over there. I think the CBPA also did like an investigation to see if it was like magic or something, and they didn't find anything. I can give you the records when we get back to the office. Yeah, it's not that important. Some of the workers think it's weird. Yeah.
Understandably.
Yeah. But they're all kind of more of the Christian alignment, so they kind of think it's kind of like not quite devil worship. Well, some of them think it's devil worship, but most of them are just kind of like, ugh, gross paganism, But isn't a big deal. I don't think it's whatever. Nobody can read this stuff on it either, by the way. Well, nobody that I've talked to can read it, and it's in some weird local language, I think.
All right. Well, we'll get to looking.
All right. And he brings you under the big stone arch. And the stone arch is notably not covered in any runes or anything, but it is very smooth. And it radiates a weird energy. You don't know what it is, but it just is super random that it's here.
Like, I give the camera a very like
yeah, the office kind of like the side eye.
No, like the I am not at all happy about this.
Yeah, it doesn't give off any like magic that you can tell, but it's just suspicious that it's here. You know?
It gives off a weird vibe.
Yeah, yeah. And the Mr. Gerard's like, yeah, I mean, you guys can talk to the, if you want to talk to the employees, interview some of them. I mean, I guess they're gonna tell you the same stories though. They're all crazy. Or you could talk to the priest. He's the one who's been handling the recent deaths in the mines and stuff. So he might be a good guy to talk to. He's down at the church, of course. And there's me, and there's the guy the big fellow you guys saw me arguing with before. He's kind of like the foreman. He handles, he's like the most important laborer out of all of them. Kind of a jerk, but he does good work, so we can't fire him.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's all we got for you.
All right. Well, no time to waste.
All right, gentlemen, take a look around. If you have any more questions, I'll be in my office. That's Area 5. Yeah, I'll be in my office.
I'll be in my office. He turns to the camera. Area 5 for all you watching at home.
Area 5. And he just, like, yeah, so, need anything, stop on by. Or, talk to other people. I don't care. I'll get an update from you later today at the dinner time or whatever. And he, begins walking up. And as he walks off, he just randomly like points at people and yells at them for like random things, just to like harass them and get them make sure they're doing the right things. Yeah, he just like points at someone like, lift with your back, not your legs, or your legs not your back or whatever. And he like, oh, that needs to be moved over 8 inches to the left, and just like harassing people as he walks because he's a jerk. Just berating the employees.
I mean, he seems to be an asshole, but he's not really an asshole. Like, he's trying a little too hard to be an asshole.
Well, he doesn't mean to you guys because, like, you guys aren't like the workers that he's like directly in charge of, But to the workers, he seems to be awfully abusive, shall we say. You also would notice that he has a gun, like concealed underneath his jacket, and he has a gun, a pistol. So, maybe that driver guy was right when he warned you about the shooting starting. So yeah, so there's that. You've met Mr. Adrian Gerard, the goblin manager. And the rest of the day is yours. Probably like noon by the time you guys get there and then finish the tour.
All right. Well, no time to waste. Let's get right into the investigation.
All right. Where do you guys want to check out first?
Let's go check out the common house.
The common house?
Because, like the pub. Their local pub.
Yeah, the tavern. Okay.
Yes.
That's area 15. Cool. All right. So you guys actually have a floor plan for the tavern. Luckily, I did this in advance. So this is the map of the tavern. The old turnip. In good old map chat. So yeah, you guys approach the front door.
And as we approach, I'm gonna say to those, before we start investigating, I just want to make one thing clear. $5, it's the standing stones. All right.
Fair enough.
Boss Boy's like, oh, well, $10. This is the standing stones, easily.
I mean, we're all pretty sure it's the standing stones here.
Or it's the arch. That's my second best guess right now.
Well, either or. I don't know which one's worse.
Bushwick strokes his beard and he's like, well, I mean, druids usually aren't like that bad. You know, they're usually like generally pretty chill. For my
Yes, unless they're summoning something else.
yes, if the archer's like a portal or something, then we have a problem. But it didn't give off active vibes, so maybe it's a deactivated portal or something.
But what would that do for our current situation if people are experiencing the anomaly now?
I don't know.
Ooh, maybe it already let something through.
Yeah, it could have. Maybe something weird's going on here. You know what? We'll look around. We'll ask around. We'll see what's going on. Yeah, we can.
Fair enough.
Who knows? So yeah, you all walk into the old Turnip Inn through main front door, and you guys can hear like through the window and stuff like that. It's getting to like lunchtime now, so there's a lot of people in there. A bunch of like guys with covered in like soot and dust and rock in their mining outfits, overalls, big jumpsuits. They're all swinging tankers of beer around, bottles of beer, singing, have a great time. You can hear like the music and the revelry coming from outside through the warmly lit windows, and you all saunter through the front set of double doors, and you find yourselves in this big, grand, warm tavern hall because it is pretty chilly outside. You're in the middle of Idaho in the mountains. There's like a fire going, a fireplace, these long tables, all these different guys and some women as well, partying it up, having a good old time, eating, drinking. There's the guy behind the bar, the bartender, human guy, looks relatively generic, handing out drinks and stuff, humming to the song that's playing. Yeah, and you're all in this time. You do see the off across the room at one of the long tables is that big dude that you guys saw before, and he is surrounded by like a bunch of other guys leading an arm wrestling contest, and he appears to be
Oh boy.
obliterating everybody. Just like easy, no effort needed on his part. He's
Well,
the
I
biggest
know
dude.
who's gonna take part in that.
Battlecock.
Yes.
So yeah, the tavern is yours.
Alright, well, first things first. I'm going to walk over to the bar.
Alrighty, you walk over to the bar, and the guy behind the counter is like, hey there, stranger, haven't seen you before. What can I get you for?
What do you have on tap?
Oh, we got a few choices of beer. We got some whiskey. We got like soda and water if you're
I'll
feeling
have a
kind of weird.
stout.
Sure, that works fine. And he, walks over, pours that for you, pops it down in front of you, and like, so, I saw you and your compadres over there sauntering a couple seconds ago, and
Are we back in Mexico right now?
we're down in good old Mexico, the opposite side of the continent.
See, that was where the portal actually goes to.
Bro, the giant burrowing crabs
Just
of Mexico.
See, that's what all these good Christian men are afraid of. Immigrants.
Immigrants. Oh, you know it. So yeah, the butcher's like, so yeah, you guys come here for anything in particular, or you like big wealthy railroad barons or something like that coming to check out the mine or something, or
We're here.
Ah, yes, indeed.
Well.
We've come to tell you that we're your owners now. You see.
make me a charisma check to lie to this man, because you're just as a wizard, and you come in here and you're like, oh yeah, we bought this place.
I got a 4.
Okay, you got a 4. That's a fail, I'm pretty sure. And the bartender's like, he kind of ha 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 laughs it off. He's like, oh yeah, I'm really sure about that, buddy. You and your your chicken over there definitely seem like the kind of folks to purchase a mine.
Like, of course, don't you know? Chickens are burrowing animals.
That's cursed. Burrowing chickens of Idaho.
So cursed.
God.
I'll speak up and I'll be like, no, we're here to investigate your mine problem.
Like, oh, you guys are private eyes coming to check out the weird happenings that have been reported around the shop, eh?
Essentially.
Like, well, good luck to you. Do you guys think it's legit, or are you on the company side?
Well, if it's substantial enough to ward off a bunch of workers who have no other reason to fake a story like this, then I think it is a report of substantial cause.
I'm like, oh, well, glad to see that you're on the side of the people then.
Corporations may think that we favor them because they give us money, but that is not the case.
Like, well, I guess good luck to you. You stopping by my little establishment here for a reason, or just to grab a drink?
We seek to gather some information on the current status of what is going on around here.
I got you. Well, I don't know a whole lot. I spend my days here in the shop, if you will. But I've heard a lot of stories from the various folks that have come in here. Some of them I heard went crazy,
Hmm.
which isn't super nasty, but you know,
Interesting.
yeah, anything in particular looking for, or anybody, or
Well, I seem to notice that that man over there, and I'll point to the big guy doing the arm wrestling.
hmm.
I see that he seems very passionate about his workers. What can you tell me about him?
Like, oh, he's the foreman. His name's Mason Anvil. Very, very specific name.
How
Don't know.
topical.
Yeah, I don't know how he got that. I don't think it's real, if you ask me, but I don't inquire because he scares me. So there's that. But he's the foreman. He's also like one of the only spellcasters that we've got on the property.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, no, he doesn't quite look like the magic type. Not like your friend here. And he points to X, the wizard. Uh, I mean, no offense, buddy, but you're kind of
You're kind of sticking out like a
yeah.
sore
I
thumb.
mean, this is really the kind of place for your kind of folk. But regardless, like yeah, so he's I know that the foreman don't look like a spellcaster type, but he is. I assure you, he's I think he said he's. I mean, if you ask him about it, he probably will just tell you that he's a man of the people or whatever. But I think, I mean, I don't, I'm not a spellcaster, I'm not a magic man, I don't really know myself, but I think the term is like a paladin or something. He's a man of a particular covenant, I think they call it. Some kind of like a very strong belief that lets him cast magic. Um, Something like that. GVH, that's people don't know that. Like that's not like
Seems
most people.
pretty on the nose.
Yeah, most people don't
Almost
know
the
how
exact
paladins
description.
Yeah.
work. Yeah. So this guy's like, yeah, I think he's like a paladin or something. I don't know. I mean, he seems chill enough. He's very dedicated to his workers. He's the one who started who was the first one to be like, we can't work under these conditions. The land is cursed. Something weird's going on. he was the guy that reported the incident to the company in the first place. That's probably why you.
Well,
You know.
now, in my head, I'm having thoughts about the bartender.
Bartender is actually.
How does he know what a paladin is?
Yeah, the bartender is actually a level 20 sorcerer. But yeah, so he's like, yeah, so you know, there's that. He seems pretty nice, I guess. If you're, he doesn't like the rich folk though. That is one thing I can say for certain. Like the manager, he hates that guy with a burning passion.
Understandable.
Yep.
All right, well, I think it would be best suited to go and talk to the man.
Like, oh, good luck. Don't get your arm broken now.
Fair enough. All right, well, time to go and talk to the large man that is currently destroying people at arm wrestling.
All right, so you guys.
I'm going to beckon for Boston Brook and X to come with me, but I want Boston Brook to follow very close because he's going to be a tool.
You're gonna time to abuse some magic.
Absolutely.
Cracks knuckles.
I'm going to tell Boston Brook to keep his hand on his sword during the arm wrestling match.
Yeah, of course. We can abuse the magic of this artifact little magic item. Alright. So yeah, Buster walks up and he's like, oh, yes, that was a rather strange bartender, don't you think? He knew a little bit too much for an average bloke.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm like, what are you talking about? You haven't memorized the different types of spellcasters? Kind of weird, not gonna lie.
Like, well,
The fact that he knows what a paladin is worries me quite a bit.
People don't know what they're called. They just assume they can do weird things with their minds. It's not a publicly known thing that they're called.
He's of Christian divination, and he's able to heal other people.
Well, those aren't paladins. Well, some of them can do that, but most paladin covenants are not affiliated with a particular god at all. Actually, common misconception. Like, yes, I've met a few paladins in my time out in the wilds. They're usually fairly nice people, although you might meet the occasional one who's a bit, got a few screws loose, but this fellow seems to be mostly on the level, if I had to.
What do you mean if you screws loose? You can't be talking about my good buddies, the Oathbreakers, could you be?
Well, I mean, yes, they're one of them, but you're the anti-paladins. You've got the weird ones that worship strange entities from beyond the veil of reality or whatever. The crazies. But those kind of people are in every group, so...
Boston Brook, do I need to remind you that you fought an Eldritch Horror?
Well, yes, but I don't worship them. I just fight them.
Exactly.
Yes, but... So I'm saying that the paladins who do worship the weird entities are crazy.
A fair point, indeed.
Like, anyway, please, that's who this fellow's on about. And he, you all approach this table. All these guys are cheering and yelling. They're throwing, like, coins and like dollar bills and stuff on the table for betting on this. Who's gonna win, the foreman or this beanpole miner compared to the foreman. And you all walk up to this scene.
All right, Boston Brook, do the thing.
We're like, oh yeah, is it my time to shine?
Well, after this go.
And right as you say after this go, the guy who was like doing the arm wrestling with the foreman gets thrown past you from the sheer force of this man's strength. And Buster's like, oh well, if I didn't say so myself. And he walks up and he kind of like flicks his wrist, and like a bankroll of cash appears in his hand, and he plops it on the table in front of the foreman. It's like, that right there, my friend, is $10,000 in one single bankroll. And he's like, if you win, you get to keep it. If I win, I get to ask you some questions. And the the huge guy, he looks up Boston Brook and he's like, and he sizes this old man up, which is hilarious. Um, he sizes this old guy, and he seems confused for a second. He's like, what is this old man trying to fight me for? And he's like, all right. And he's like, sure, old guy, whatever. Your loss, I guess. And he, moves the bankroll of the money aside, and he puts a huge forearm on the table. And Bossbro takes his seat, and he grabs Life's Limit under the table, trying to be subtle. And they, clap hands, and they begin to do their arm wrestling thing. I'm going to make them a roll off. Best two out of three. Ooh, Bosbrook wins the first round. Bosbrook got an 11 versus the Foreman's 10. So Bosbrook, they begin going, and Bosbrook is he looks like he's about to win. Like he's starting to go over there, starting to win in his favor. We'll see if he can pull it off a second time. Oh no. Now the Foreman gets an 8. Well, actually, Foreman gets a 16, and Bosbrook gets an 11. So Bosbrook starts to win, and then you see the Foreman, like his face
start clawing back.
Well, he's just like totally unfazed as he begins to lose, and he just like, huh. And then he begins to like easily move it back over to even Stevens. And Bosbrook's like, oh, jolly good, a challenge, I like it. And oh my lord, the Foreman gets a 17 versus Bosbrook's 11 again. So the Foreman is now winning a little bit, halfway to winning. Bosbrook's like, oh, you're a big bloke. Foreman wins again with a 12 versus Boston Brooks 9. So the Foreman, Boston Brooks wins in the beginning, and then the Foreman just very readily overpowers him and just, and he smacks Boston Brooks' arm on the table, but doesn't like throw him off the table because Boston Brooks is shockingly strong for a 70-year-old man. And everybody's like, yeah, they all cheer, and Boston Brooks like, yeah, whatever, and he tosses the bankroll of cash over to the Foreman, who catches it, and he like the Foreman doesn't cheer. He just kind of looks at Boston Brook as Boston Brook kind of stands up from the table, and he lets go of the sword at his hilt, at his hip, and as Boston Brook walks over to you two, the Foreman kind of follows Boston Brook's movement over to you, and he doesn't cheer. He just looks at the money, squints at you guys. And he's like, all right, guys, that's it for now, whatever. I gotta go get another round. So he gets up, and he walks over to you guys, standing like across the room with your drinks at one of the other tables. And Bosbrook sits down next to you guys and like, sorry, gentlemen, looks like I couldn't quite do it. That fellow is unnaturally strong.
And I'll look over, and do I see the Foreman getting up?
Yeah, he's eyeing you guys, and he is getting up from his bench seat and approaching, like beginning to walk over.
Well, you might have lost the battle, but you might have won us the war with that little play.
Exactly, which is what we need, Boston Brooks. So you've played your role perfectly.
And he's like rolling his shoulder out, and he's like, well, certainly hope so. A bit of a hit to my pride, though. And as he says that, the Foreman, reaches your guys' table and like.
Before he gets there, I'm like, Boston Brook, pride is temporary.
And like, well, I suppose. And the Foreman walks over to the table, his big, clunking boot falls, and he plops the bankroll of cash right in front of Bosbrook again, and he's like, that was quite the strength you got there, old timer. And Ostrich looks up at him like, well, I can say the same thing to you too. You were quite strong. And the foreman's like, you as well, but I don't think that bet there was really about the money, was it? And Ostrich like, your keen mind there, my friend. No, my friends and I were looking to have a talk with you. And the foreman's like, yeah, I figured as much. You guys don't strike me as the mining type, he says, looking at the chicken.
I'm like, what? You don't know about burrowing chickens?
I wonder what could have ever given it away.
And the foreman's like, no, I've not heard of burrowing chickens, but
It's actually quite the sight to see.
he's like, you can color me morbidly curious. But yeah, so you said something about asking me questions. Like I don't feel right about taking this money from an old man I just beat in a wrestling contest. And Marshmallow's like, what do you mean, my friend? I made the bet and you won fair and square. And the foreman's like, yeah, but I mean, and he kind of like tries to gesture to Bosterbrook is like, yeah, but it wasn't a fair fight. And then Bosterbrook looks at him, and you see that Bosterbrook is now insulted because he's like, how dare you say that I am not a fair fight? So Bosterbrook looks up at the foreman and is like, oh, my friend, you think that it wasn't a fair battle? Like, well, I assure you, you are mistaken. And his right eye or left eye flashes gold, and you all see like, you know, if you're like there are two mirrors like looking at each other, like your image will be like infinitely reflected.
Right.
That happens. Bosterbrook is cloned, like, and the back wall of the room extends, and like a bunch of Bosterbooks appear sitting in the seats behind him. And he's like, I assure you, my friend. Wow. He's like, it was very much a fair fight. And the foreman's eyes go wide, and he backs up. He's like, ugh. And he's like, oh,
Now, now Boston Brook, let's settle down.
And like all of the heads look at you, and their eyes are glowing gold. It's like gold, like wispy smoke is coming out of it. He's like, "Oh, I'm kidding. And the eye stops, and the reflections all snap back into place. I'm like, please, my friend, please have a seat. And he taps the wooden bench next to him. And the foreman is definitely like not scared, but he understands. So he's like, mm-hmm.
Right.
He takes a seat. He's like, well, mentioned someone wanted to have a chit chat with me.
Indeed, we did. We would like to talk to you about the recent goings on.
Like, are talking about the the strange occurrences.
Indeed.
Like, well, I mean,
I will also at this point offer him something to drink.
like, well, I can pay for myself. In Boston Buck, he just kind of like looks at the foreman, and he mage hands the $10,000 roll over to the bank to the bartender. It kind of flicks it over, and it floats over to the counter. And
I'll turn back to him and I'll be like, we insist.
And foreman's like, he puts his hands up. He's like, whatever, sure. And the bartender looks at the bankroll that appears on his counter, and he's like, what? And like he like freaks out, and he like eyes go wide, and he steps back, and he's like, what? And looks at Bosterbuck, and Bosterbuck gives him a thumbs up across the room, and the bartender looks at him like, what do I do with this? Like, what am I supposed to do? And Bosterbuck's like, a round for the table, please, my fine man. And the bartender's like,
with that, he could do a round for the bar and not even make a dent in that.
Yeah,
money.
Exactly. The bartender's like, what? This is way too much. And bartender's like, he kind of waves him off. He's like, please. And the bartender's like, sure.
Use it until the tabs are paid.
Yeah. So he's like, sure. And the bartender yells out, everybody's drink for the whole night have been paid for by this fine gentleman, and the whole bar, hey, and they all cheer and clap and hoot and holler. And Bostock's like, my pride repaired.
I'll turn to the foreman and I'll lean into the table and I'll be like, "We are from a company of, supernatural persuasion. We come to, uh, how should I put this? Mystically involved locations, and we investigate. And if there is a problem and it is something that we can handle, then we take care of it. So, what would your problem be?"
Like, oh, well, there's been quite a lot of strange paranormal occurrences that have been happening around the bar, and well, not the bar, but the mine, in and around the mine, the past couple of weeks, I'd say. People have been hearing scratches at their windows and in the walls, whispers on the wind, drafts. Things have been moved around or gone missing. Um, there have been claims of shadowy people, in the tree line watching everything, or silhouettes on the top of the mountain. There have been reports to me about whispers and hallucinations happening down in the mine shaft, cave-ins that have occurred where there shouldn't have been cave-ins. I take great pride in my safety standards with my workers, and to have this many accidents in a 2-week period, entirely unheard of. The statistics of it alone are preposterously low. There's been cave-ins. A couple of men have drowned in the underground river that runs through part of the mine, which also shouldn't have happened because there's a bridge with railings and stuff. There have been a couple of suicides, and a couple of men went mad, and we never quite could get out of them what happened, because they were so rambling and incoherent. They were sent over to the asylum, a few 100 miles away from here. Yeah, a lot of weird stuff.
I see. Now, these shadowy people, do they have a certain... Can you give me a description?
Well, from what I heard, they were just shadowy figures, silhouettes, and half obscured by the tree line, kind of never quite in the light, so you can't tell who they are or what they are or whatever. They look humanoid enough, vaguely like I guess, average height from what I've heard. Look like people, but just you can't, they're silhouetted by the shadows and the leaves and stuff. People also reported like rustling in the bushes or like whispers in the forest. People have heard strange things. People get weird chills and like cold drafts where there shouldn't be. The shadow people, I've only heard a couple of reports of them, but most of the time I've heard them like in the outskirts of the mine, like where the tree line is, like across the road and stuff like that, like a ways away from the actual like the compound. As you start to like get on that road and leave, go back to town, there's I've heard some stuff about like the delivery drivers and stuff that will see figures in the tree line or like in the trees or stuff like that, or there'll be these figures that are walking along the car with them or whatever in the tree line following them. I never got a real description besides they look vaguely humanoid and they're silhouetted. They're like dark.
All right. Well, very interesting indeed. Um, I'll look at him and I'll ask, any odd reports about that? So you said it was a statue, right? Like a druidic statue?
The shrine is a circular
Shrine, yeah.
series of standing stones with a small like crystal clear pond in the middle. Notably, also like there's very little like plant life in this area. It's all
Okay.
like stone or like grayish dirt. Even like on the mountainside and stuff, it's all like no plant life. But the druidic shrine is teeming with life, like grass, bushes, a couple trees, all that stuff. And then around the mine site, there are of course like the forest and stuff.
Right. Very odd indeed. Um, I'll ask him if there's been any kind of like uh worries amongst the workers about the standing stones.
Like, well, you know how the woodsmen folk can get a little bit superstitious. Um, and since this mine's been here for the past couple of years that I've been working here, uh, when I first started working in the mine for the quarry first got set up, uh, some some feds in suits came by and they told us that we couldn't disturb the standing stones, but that it wasn't magical. And of
Mm,
course, some of the workers and stuff still believe that it's I mean it's weird. It's like Stonehenge. You don't quite understand what's going on about it. I guess it was weird. It's not normal for us. Apparently, it's some kind of Native American stuff from the local tribes in the area that's like been there for centuries or whatever. So it's like a historical landmark that we're not supposed to touch. Um, so we don't touch it. We try not to anyway. Some of the workers are definitely weary of it. Nobody goes near there because even if you don't believe that it's magic, you still think it's weird. It's still uh, not natural for I mean, I'm sure you've seen a lot of the men here are uh, of the Christian persuasion. So
oh yes, I have noticed. But do you know if anybody has touched that shrine?
like, not to my knowledge. I mean I can't say for sure, but I haven't heard that anybody's gone over there and poked the weird rocks anytime recently. Anyway,
Hmm. All right. Well, this entire ordeal seems to be interesting. Hmm.
like yeah, the it's not been pleasant. I mean the Father Brown, the priest in here, he told everybody to stay indoors during the nighttime and to not go out just to because some people have gone missing or gone crazy and stuff. Um, and so he just warned us to stay indoors and stuff. And I told my workers the same thing. Don't go outside during the night. Uh, all that stuff. And they seem to be adhering to it because people are afraid and they don't want to go to work. And they don't want to leave their houses. I mean, a lot of the men here have their families in those little sheds too. Women and children, their wives, their mothers or their sisters or their kids. So they all try to be tough for their families and try to put up the front of stoicism, but deep down, most people here are afraid.
Hmm. Well, I can assure you that soon enough and in due time, we will have this whole situation sorted out. All I ask is that you have your men take more precautions around the mine while we do so.
Of course, and if you folks need to get down into the mines for any reason or into the quarry or anything, just find me and I can lead you guys down there. The mines are a bit labyrinthine, so don't want you guys getting lost and getting eaten by a burrowing chicken or something. He says,
Mm.
pointing to Battlecock.
We very much appreciate your cooperation.
Of course, anything to help keep my folks safe.
All right. Well, I guess the next thing I'm going to ask is if he's seen or if he knows of anybody who could give us some insight into what's going on, or anyone who uh, has kind of lost it.
I'm like, well, the folks that went crazy, we had to ship them off to the asylum a few, like a day's journey to the southeast. Um, I mean, you guys could go there, I guess, if you really wanted to, but wouldn't recommend it. Um, but those folks were like real far gone. You need like some kind of weird magic and stuff to get into their heads to figure out what's going on in there because their brains must be scrambled like eggs. I'm telling you. Um,
Hmm.
in terms of other people here that could give you insight, I mean, Father Brown, he's a pretty good option. He's one of you folks, magic man. He's being a priest and all. Um, so he is into that kind of stuff. He's also the guy who handled the dead folks, the ones that died in the accident recently. So he can give you information about that. He handles the graveyard as well, so he can give you information about any of that. Um, and then I guess there's that idiot Jarab, the manager. Although I don't know if he'll really tell you the truth.
Fair enough point. All right. Well, I think we've got all the information we need for now.
Of
Anyone
course,
else
of
have any
course.
questions? I'll turn to like the others in the party.
Buster Butt's got nothing. He's just enjoying his drink.
I
Understandably.
think I'm going to be at the bar, like barely paying attention,
Fair enough.
making
Alright.
use of that 10K your boy
so
Boston Book dropped.
so you're just like getting blasted over there on all kinds of drinks.
Blasted on party liquor.
So X is over there. Battlecock is walking in the bar and like eating like the peanuts and stuff that they have on at bar counters and stuff. He's pecking at the peanuts and the bar nuts. Um, okay, cool. I mean, yeah, farmers are like, all right, well, nothing, nothing else, y'all gentlemen need from me. I'm gonna go back to my boys over there and make sure that they got their heads on straight. And you guys like look over him, and the guys that he was previously like arm wrestling with are now playing Five Finger Fillet with big hunting knives. And he's like, "Yeah, they're gonna cut their hands off. I don't stop them. So hold on." And he gets up and he walks. He walks over and he picks up both of the guys by like the back of their shirts, like up in the air, like, out of their seats, like just fully. He's like, "You idiots! You're gonna hurt yourselves. How you're gonna support your families if you're missing two fingers or whatever." And he chastises them and then he drops them. He's like, you know, go back to playing dominoes or something, you weirdos. And they're like, oh, all right. And they, all depressed. They go about their business. Anything you gentlemen want to do in the bar besides get blasted? I assume.
I'm gonna turn to Boston Brook and I'm gonna be like, "What do you think about all this?"
Buzz was like, well, if I had to take a guess, some of it sounds a bit like spirits to me. Hauntings with the scratching and the drafts and the. I mean, the whispers are a bit different. They aren't always present in hauntings. A bit more rare than that. But yeah, that part sounds like haunting. The shadow people, no idea. Just no information about that. Really, I have no evidence to go off of for my hunches on that. In terms of the suicides, the mines, and the madness, and the cave-ins, I don't really know either. I mean, it could be the giant burrowing crabs, or the burrowing chickens, or it could be Neither.
Or both.
Yeah, or both. But whatever's happening, it certainly is strange, and I can agree with the general populace. It certainly seems like this place is cursed.
That would be a front runner for the situation.
Like, what's causing the curse, I couldn't tell you.
Mm.
As he drinks his big old mug of whiskey.
Well, we'll find out soon enough. Might as well start getting everything set. I would like to look into the standing stones, though.
Marshmallow's like, oh, I want to go over to the druid shrine, do some magic over there, maybe? Figure out the people a little bit more, you know?
Quite possibly, and I'd rather do it now while they're, enjoying their downtime and not paying attention to us.
Well, if you would. Do you want to bring the chicken and the wizard, or, well, the other wizard, or should we just the two of us go on our own?
I think X could use some downtime, so the two of us can go and just have a look.
Like, sure. I'm fine with that. Tell you who, and he gets up from his
I'll
bench.
I'll finish my stout and go with him.
Alright. Yeah, so you guys walk over to the shrine. And you guys make it over there. You cross it. It is probably like 4 in the afternoon. It's the sun's starting to set. And it's getting pretty chilly. You guys climb the trailway, the big wide road up to the quarry, the old quarry, and you walk across the old quarry, and you can make it to the shrine. And it is a collection of like 12 big standing stones. They're probably like 4 or 5 feet in diameter, roughly. I mean, they're not like squares. You know, they're rounded, like oval shaped, and they've got like big rounded tops. They're all covered in strange runes and symbols that you don't recognize. And in the middle of these standing stones, probably like 10, 15 feet away from them, in the middle of the circle, is this small pond. And it's all like super vibrant foliage, very bright green grass, very lovely bushes, vines growing around some of the standing stones. You know, very very pretty, super tranquil, like super peaceful, very calming. Um,
I can I detect any kind of magic going on here?
okay, yeah. So you flick your vision and your eyes glow a little bit, sparkle, and you look around. Make me a perception check.
All right. No disadvantage or anything.
No, just straight roll.
All right. That is a 7, good sir.
7. All right. So you look around. Um, the there doesn't appear to be anything like that is magical, but the area is certainly magical.
Can I tell what kind of magic?
It's nature magic. It's druidic magic, which I guess would be like abjuration, maybe, or conjuration.
Hmm.
You know, it's nature magic.
Well, this area is magically charged.
Yeah, you notice that the magical, this kind of nature magic, kind of like vibrant neon green nature magic, is intermingled with this kind of like passive, like untyped magical energy that is probably that interference from the magical minerals and stuff that McLafferty told you about.
Yeah.
But the nature magic ends where the foliage ends in this small circle. Well, it's like 40 feet wide, but it's this like the where the shrine's like foliage ends and the boundary of that hits, the nature magic also ends.
Okay. So this is just literally a magic circle that's just chilling here.
Yep.
Hmm. And there's like no way to devise an intent from this circle or anything.
I mean, you can't read the hieroglyphs. Osterberg knows that it's druidic, but he can't read druidic, so
Yeah.
yeah, this is certainly druidic, but I don't read
Druid.
that. Yes, it's a bit too niche. I mean, the druids are understandably very tight-lipped with who they share their knowledge with, so
Understandably so.
yes. So I don't know how to read it, but I know that it is probably important.
Mm. Well, I'll look into. I'll turn to Boston Burke and be like, well, do you want to take a step in?
Bosworth has already been in there. He's already like walking around. Like
Oh well,
two-fist.
yeah,
I
I'll
mean,
do the same.
you're not fearing no fairies. He's there like any ent or anything. He's a magic man. So you guys walk around. When you guys enter it, you feel very calm. You know, any stress you feel kind of drains out of you.
I am calm. What sorcery is this?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's very peaceful, very quiet. Like almost like eerily quiet. But
Right.
you know, it's still very, you know.
Hmm. Well, if the runes is anything like glowing or anything,
No, it doesn't appear to be. The runes themselves don't appear to be magical.
okay.
When you like were looking at them and stuff with your magic vision.
Hmm. 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 Well, I can't seem to glean anything more from this. This is definitely a mystery, though.
Hmm. Indeed.
I'll turn to Boston Brook and be like, well, shall we go investigate the surrounding area for the shadows then? See if we can see anything?
You're like, well, that sounds a. Why am I saying southern all of a sudden? Like, well, that sounds a bit more dangerous, don't you think? I don't think shadow people would, sound particularly benevolent and friendly.
Well, as long as we keep our distance and just observe.
Well, I suppose. Would you recommend? Are you going to take a more stealthy approach to this, or are you just going to go wandering over the countryside?
Uh, I think we can just meander and possibly have something find us or find something. Boston Brook, I've never known you to be so tame.
Like, well, this is an unknown threat we're facing. It could be a demon or something for all we know.
Well, if it is, I fear for his life. As I pull out my lighter.
Must be like, yes, of course. Like, well, going to split up then, or do you want us to, take our own, go as a duo, or divide and conquer, as the saying goes?
Well, you know what they say, the best work is done in teams.
Very true. Two heads are better than one, and onwards, and he begins
And two
to.
swords are more ready than one.
You're like, yes, very true, very true. Words of wisdom to live by. And he begins to walk, down like away from the shrine and into like the tree line that sits across the way from the shrine.
I will join him.
Cool. You guys doing that? cut back over to X and Chicken Companion. Uh, what are you guys getting up to? Anything in particular? Just having a blast.
I'm
Summer
going
loving.
to carouse, hang out with the miners, do some party tricks with the magic, maybe sneak in a question every now and again about some shit they've seen in the mines, where it happened, etc., etc.
Okay. Make me. Actually, no, you make you guys are well, they're willing to talk about what they've seen. Okay, so you're seeing some questions here and there as you're, doing like firebending magic, basically. Doing like tricks, vape tricks, basically. Um, and yeah, you found some questions. A couple of them, say that they've heard, like voices and stuff down the mine, like echoey voices. They've heard like screams. They've heard things like in the walls. There have been strange drafts in like cold spots
It's
where
the
there shouldn't
draft.
be. Yeah, just the draft. Or like wind coming from like. One of those is that they felt like strong cold gusts of wind coming from deeper in the mine, even though that shouldn't really. I mean, I guess
Possible.
it could be because there's like the underground river and stuff, but it's unlikely to be that strong and that like different temperature. Um, they don't claim to have seen anything like physical. Like, oh, I saw a burrowing crab in the tunnels. No. But a few of them do say like, oh, um, I've heard that like
Voice.
the one cave in that happened a couple of days ago was caused because some guy went crazy and blew himself up in the top of like a crate of dynamite or something like that. Like one guy's like, oh, I heard that old Jimmy John drowned in the river because he went crazy and heard like his wife calling to him or something like that. So he walked into the river and died. Like a lot of really messed up stuff, basically. Yeah, that's the general gist that you get.
Well, it's nothing a glass of hard liquor can't wash away. You know what I'm saying?
And like, oh yeah, for sure, man, for sure. And they just, keep downing a bunch of bottles of alcohol. The tab being paid for the whole day is really getting these guys into the partying mood, as one would expect. So yeah, anything anything in particular? Anything else? Anyway, you want to inquire about, or anyone you want to talk to?
Um, Not really. I was going to ask about, the goblin manager, and then I thought about it for a second. I was like, why would anyone here know what the goblin manager is doing?
Oh yeah, I know Adrian. We're pretty good friends.
So yeah, that's it for now.
All right, cool. In that case, I'll have Boston Brook and GVH both make me perception checks.
Which check?
Perception. Boston Brook got a 10, so
What check am I making?
perception.
Ah, okay. I as well got a 10.
Mm. So you guys walk around the woods for a while, and you guys walking around. It's getting dark out, and as you guys kind of reach like the end of what you would assume like the company's property is, uh, you guys start to feel like you're being watched, and you guys start looking around. You scan through the trees. You guys hear rustling, um, as you guys like approach, like as in in the forest, walking around, as you hear like like faint whispers on the wind. Like and it's pretty creepy. So Bowser draws his gun, and he's like, "Come out, fairies! I'll do me myself if I have to. I swear to God." Um, yeah, so you hear like whispers on the wind. It gets pretty cold. And eventually you guys do spot through some of the trees um, a few so you guys are, like in the woods, and you guys kind of like a small clearing, and you guys look up at the top of the mountain, and you see these silhouetted figures as the sun is like setting behind them. These a couple of like half visible dark shapes, humanoid shapes, like staring down at you. You're like, it's kind of creepy. And you look around, and you keep walking, and you guys you do spot like shadowy figures that will like move from like one tree to the next, and like shoot across your vision. They don't appear to actually move that fast. Um, like at the speed of like a person walking, you would imagine. But you never like catch up to any of them. Like you'll see one of them walk from one tree to another, and then you'll walk over to that tree they walked to, and you'll look around and they won't be there anymore.
Hmm. It's interesting. Make anything of this, Boston Brook?
Like no, this could be any number of things. It could be spirits, it could be fairies, it could be druids, it could be I don't know, shadows or
Hmm.
shades, or it could be wraiths, it could be anything.
Hmm. Very true. Well, we'll have to figure it out eventually.
Well, yes, I'm sure we will.
Hmm. This is rather worrying. Without knowing what we're dealing with, well, I guess you could say we're sitting out in the dark.
Like, yes, it is a somewhat new feeling to be in the dark, if you will. He says, chuckling to himself because you're in the dark.
Literally. Well, nothing we can't solve tomorrow.
And like, yes, I suppose you're correct. Should we head back then, or keep walking around in this creepy forest?
I think we can head back for now. We've done quite a lot of investigating for today, so
All right.
good information on all accounts.
Yes, you guys head back to the site. Um, leave the forest. You guys stop hearing the whispering and all the creepy stuff. Uh, then you guys,
JVH is going to like keep a spare eye on their backs.
yeah, of course. You guys aren't followed. You don't think?
Sick.
So you guys make it back to the cave to the mine, and the settlement around it. Back to the tavern, or
Yeah, we'll go back to the tavern and claim X.
okay. So you guys walk inside. And you guys see X is doing like a fire juggling act with like fireballs, and then like on a table and stuff. And there's like a bard in one corner, like vigorously strumming a guitar, playing his music, and X is like dancing along and making like like the fireballs like change shape to be like to follow with the lyrics of the song and stuff like that. Um, and all the crowd or like the miners and stuff are all like enraptured. They're all mesmerized by this act of magic, except for the foreman and the bartender, both of whom are just kind of talking to each other and like lazily watching, but not really like caring that much. Um, bartender is like, he also noticed that every couple of minutes he goes and he like the whole night, every couple of minutes he goes over and he counts the money that Bossenberg gave him again, as if he's like, am I dreaming or is this real money? You know, he just can't believe it.
Prestidigitation.
Yeah, it's all an illusion. No. So yeah, you guys walk in, see X, the life of the party. Battlecock is dancing around his feet, walking around, doing a little chicken dance. And it's just like walking in, just like chaos. You're like, don't know what I expected, but this was not it.
Of course. All right, X. Let's go. Time to go.
Aw, is it time already?
We've finished our investigating for the day. Yes. I'll turn to Bostonberg and I'll be like, I don't know. Do you want to, spend some more time here or what?
He already has a tumbler of alcohol in his hand.
Fair enough. A little more time it is. You've been given amnesty.
Yeah, so he goes over to the bar and he starts drinking with some other of the dudes at the bar. You guys keep partying for another few more hours. Wait till like.
I will say this. JVH is going to be sitting at a table looking through notes on what could be happening around here. Just looking at like similar circumstances,
Okay. In that case, you can make me an intelligence check with advantage because this is paranormal stuff.
With advantage or disadvantage?
Advantage.
Okay. That is a 9, good sir.
So you look around at your old notes, open one of your many journals, and yeah, this sounds a lot like a haunting, but with some strange additions. The shadow people, weird, not normal for hauntings. The cave-ins underground, like usually hauntings are very location specific. They don't usually happen over a very large area, nor do they usually happen like underground and above ground. Usually they're limited to one or the other. So either this place is just super haunted, like every square inch is covered in ghosts, or like the hauntings are a feature of something bigger.
Uh. Definitely an interesting finding. What I will do next is I'll probably end up sharing that information with Boston Brook at some point in the night.
Okay, yeah, Busterwick, he immediately joins X and stuff, making like magic stuff appear. So like he casts vegetation,
Of course.
and makes like sparks and fireworks and weird noises and amplifies his voice and all this stuff. He's carousing as well, having he's like using like mage hand to make like Battlecloth like fly.
Perfect.
It's very strange. But yeah, so you pull him aside and you're like, stop messing with the chicken for a second. You
Stop traumatizing the chicken. He's already levitated enough.
yeah, already levitated enough. And you're like, yeah, it's take the information, give him the rundown. And like, yeah, that sounds about right. That generally when people like super drunk, he's like, sounds probably around right. Expect, yeah, I think checks out.
Yes, but the circumstances of the haunting don't make any sense.
Like, well, I will admit it's pretty strange, but I'm sure there's some explanation we could come to. My old friend, like give a drink, companion, and he like.
I think I've had my fill for the night.
Like, suit yourself, lightweight, and he like pushes out of the way, and he just like grabs 2 mugs of like ale off of the counter and just 2 fists it. just chugs both of them in one go, and he slams them on the counter, and he turns around to the foreman. The foreman's also like drunk, so he points to the foreman and he's like, "You," and the foreman's like, "What do you want?" And the Boschbrook stumbles over, and he just sucker punches the foreman across the side of the face, just clocks him. Now this is without his sword making him buff, so it's a pretty weak punch.
God.
I'm gonna burst out laughing.
Yes. Yeah, so the whole people are like, oh, whoa, haha, laughing. And the foreman laughs because Bostermuck is an old man and is weak. And the foreman's like, that's a punch, old man. I'll show you what a punch is. And
Oh
he
God,
just like,
no! Please no! Please no!
he hammer fists the table next to him and splits it in half. Just, and the whole thing, and it crashed down the middle. I was like, I was thinking you're a big man, are you? I'll show you a big man.
Boston Brook, bite your tongue.
And Boston Brook, he turns and he like really drunkenly like swerves over to you and he swings his hand.
That
and he points
is
at
an
you,
order.
and he's like, "You don't tell me what to do, old man." And he turns back to the
I'm your
foreman,
boss, so yes, I do.
and he's like, "Oh, you can't see me if I can't see you." And he covers his eyes with his hands.
Boston Brook, I'm not a T-Rex.
and he's like, "No, you don't exist. It's impossible. You can't see me. I'm invisible." Woo! And he begins to like dance around you, trying he's invisible. And the foreman is like weeping, laughing at this point, like on the ground.
I'm going to turn to Boston Brook, and I'm going to cast Law Mage's Binds.
Okay, so you try to cast a spell on him. All right, let's see. I think it's just happens.
Targets
right?
can attempt to succeed a strength check at disadvantage at the end of their successive combat turns.
Yeah, so this just works, and then he has to break free. So yeah, so I'll say you just do it. You cast the spell, and so you're watching. Westbrook is trying to like be goofy and drunk, and then these magic glowing like golden like twirling like magic circles appear around his arms, like around his wrists, and they force his hands behind his back, and this like gold like ring appears around his mouth, and he can't talk anymore. He's like, he's freaking out. He's gonna try to break free, but he is only an old man.
Yes, that is true. He is no longer able to grip whatchamacallit? Life's limit.
Yeah, so he got a 10 and a 5, but the 5 is a disadvantage, so he fails because of 4 strength as an old man. So he tried to break free, and you see the bars of the magic rings like begin to dissipate. They begin to like stretch and like spark, but he can't quite break out of them just yet. Anyway, so he's like trying
Boston
mumbling to
Brook.
himself. And he's like,
Like Boston broke. Oh no.
like a Boston broke. Wow. You've killed him. He's slain. He drops dead on the spot. That kind of powerful insult.
I will
Honor is
now
forfeit, you know what I'm saying?
start to drag him out of the pub.
All right, so you begin to drag him out of the pub, and the whole crowd's like, "Ah, come on, hey!" They're all disappointed that the mother of the group has decided to step in and kill the fun.
Yes.
Yeah, so you drag Basfric out of the tavern, and as you leave, you see a priest walking from the church across the way to you guys to the bar, and he's like halfway there. So he's like 100 feet away from you, probably 200 feet away from you. And this priest isn't your average looking priest. Most notably, he is Native American. He's not white. He's wearing like the standard like priest vestments, the high collar, like the black like cotton like jacket, black slacks. He has like the flat cap, wide brimmed priest's hat on. But he also has like gold and jade, or like not gold and jade, gold and prismarine, like turquoise like stone, like beaded, like not like a necklace, but like a chest piece, I guess, that's over the top of his priest vestments, but like under his jacket. So he like you can still tell that he's, you know, his culture is still represented in his clothing. And he has like a crucifix on a gold necklace, gold chain, poking out of his pocket, his like jacket pocket, and he's holding a Bible in his hand. And he sees you dragging Mossberg out with these magic circles around him, and he stops, he's this young kid, probably like in his early 20s, and he looks at you and and he sees you dragging this old man in these magic handcuffs, and he's like, "Can I help you, sir? Is there a problem going on? Need a bit of help there?"
Oh no, I think we're fine.
He's like, "Okay, sure, yeah, suit yourself, I guess." And he walks up, and Bosterbook is like, still trying to struggle free. And the priest walks up as you kind of walk past him, and he just kind of pats Bosterbook on the shoulder, and he's like, steady on, you know. And suddenly Bosterbook becomes sober. He just snaps into being sober, and he's like, and he kind of stops struggling for a second as he realizes what happened, and he's like, and he tries to like swear at the priest for making him sober and ruining his buzz. And the priest just laughs to himself as he like.
I'll release those bonds now.
Yeah, so you drop the spell. Mossberg's like, that cheeky bugger. He got rid of my drunkenness. Ruined my evening, I tell you.
Boston Brook, you are constantly drunk, so having you sober for once is a nice change.
He's like, well, whatever. Yeah, maybe cut back to the inside of the bar with X and Battlecock and the foreman and the bartender, all the other miners still partying. And the door opens, and this young priest guy, this Native American priest, standing in the doorway, and all the miners stop. They all stop like mid motion, mid carouse, and they all like oh good evening, father, good evening, father, good evening, they all show respect, tip their hats to him, or bid him good evening or good night or whatever. And he's like, good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. And he walks over, and he, starts talking to the foreman and to the bartender and stuff. And very slowly, the carousing like kicks back in. X, you are very uncomfortable in the presence of this man. Because he is a holy man, and you are not a holy man. You are an unholy man.
You are not that.
Yeah, so he kind of kills your buzz because, like, as he walks past you, it's like a weird, like, wave of, like, a migraine as he walks past. Like, your whole body gets, like, sore as he walks past you. You're like, ugh, gross, a man of God, disgusting.
Cringe.
Yes, quite literally. Cring. The priest, he talks to the bartender and the foreman, and he turns around and he sees you kind of like being uncomfortable, like side eyeing him, and he's like, "Ah, you're a rare one for these parts, hmm? What brings you to this fine little settlement we've got going on?"
I'll point to GVH and Boston Brook and be them.
He's like, the scientist dragging the old man in magical handcuffs behind him. Very strange duo. I see that you aren't any more normal.
I mean, what would you have expected from a group of paranormal investigators?
And he cocks an eyebrow and like, oh, so that's what you all are then, hmm? Here to, I assume, investigate the strange happenings going on?
Something like that.
Like, well, good luck to you. And he kind of like leans in and he's like, if I were you, I wouldn't spend too much time walking around the church. You seem like the kind of guy that would hurt.
Like, sure thing, bro.
Like, but you
And
know,
then I'll go to do like a joking pat him on the shoulder, and then stop myself, being like, "Oh, that would actually be a terrible idea." And I'll just walk away.
yeah. So you go to power and like both of you like your eyes go wide and you like both like take a step back because you both like, oh, that would hurt both of us if that were to happen. Like, let's not. He's like, well, if you want to, I don't know, if your sins forgiven or something, see God. You can come by, or if you have any questions, you can come by and see me. You and your companions. I walk around, do my rounds.
Oh God, the thought of JVH.
That's your
Oh God, can you imagine?
God.
Yes, let me confess my sin, Father. All right, my boy. Well, how long do you have?
4,000 years, and he's like, oh. Well, I'll get my coffee. We're gonna be here a while, you know. Um, but yeah, so the father's, he bids X farewell. He pats Battlecock on the head, and he kind of when he pats Battlecock on the head, he kind of leans over. He's like, "Ah, you are a man who's been on the block a few times, haven't you?" And Battlecock looks at him with an approving glare, and the priest's like, "Ah, I see, a wise man indeed." He's like, "You could do better," and he points to X across the room. He's like, but
I'll look over and I'm like, "Are you cavorting with my chicken?"
Are you cavorting with what a statement?
What a statement.
Are you cavorting with my chicken? And the priest's like, oh well, yeah, I was just commenting. Your friend here is a remarkable gentleman.
Indeed, indeed.
Gonna have a gang war over possession of the chicken. And the priest's like, well, have a good day, sir, and chicken. And he tips his hat, and he holds his Bible close to his chest, and he walks out. And so as he passes JVH and Bosterbuck, you guys hear him uttering an Our Father under his breath.
I'm gonna walk over to JVH and Bossbrook, and I'm gonna say under my breath, I'm totally gonna curse that guy before we leave.
Fair enough.
He's a nice guy. He's a chill priest. Don't curse the chill Native American priests. What do you?
Exist.
Wow. So yeah, you guys partied up, and then I assume you guys hit the sack.
We do indeed. Yes.
So you won't go up to your rooms. You got the map up. Do you guys want like who's staying in what rooms?
Give me a second. Maps. Which rooms are habitable? So 9 through 11?
Yes, I believe so.
Well, it doesn't really matter. I don't know. Does anybody want to stay with one another?
I mean, you don't need to stay in the tavern at all because Bossberg has his pocket dimension house now. So if you don't want to stay there, he could just be like, oh well, there you go. But he doesn't care. No, he can hang out with whoever.
Well, I mean, it would probably be smart to stay in the pocket dimension.
All right, so you want to hang out in Bosterbuck's beautiful building?
It would probably be a good idea.
All right. So you guys rent one room, and you guys walk into the room, and you close the door, and you're like, all right, Bosterbuck, whip it out. And he's like, tell you how, and he snaps his fingers, and he throws his arm out at the floor, and from like above is this huge set of double doors. It's these beautifully carved, like nice mahogany double doors, like French doors with these beautiful like stained glass panes in them and stuff. It slams down from an unseen space above, and he's like, "Please, do you follow me?" And he, gestures towards it, and the doors creak open. And when the doors open, of course, it's a portal. So when the doors open, you don't see the back of the room. You see the interior of a beautiful Victorian-style mansion. The big foyer of an internal mansion. And Fosterbook walks inside, and he's like, "All right, gentlemen, please, do follow."
Yeah, I'll follow.
All right, you all head inside, and he's like, "So this fine place is constructed to my every whim. I can control localized reality. So, whatever you want, I can make it." And you guys see that there is you're in like the main foyer, so there's like some seating areas, a coat room, big chandelier, big carpet, a couple of like suits of armor with like big halberds against the walls, big paintings. This is GVH. You've been to Bosterbuck's house before. This place looks like the interior of a Bosterbuck's mansion, but like different layout, basically. So like
Okay.
dark green, like
Pool in the library.
Yeah, very nice dark green wallpaper with like the wooden, like bottom parts, big beautiful chandeliers. I mean, like, all right, on the first door on your right is the dining room. Whatever food you can imagine will appear, and it will fill you up. Like you can eat it; it's real. You can't bring it outside of the portal, but you can eat it. If you eat it in here, it's like you ate it in real life. It's very
interesting.
Same goes for drinks, of course. And he says, and he just kind of like holds his hand out, and a glass of whiskey appears in his hand. And he just begins drinking it. He's like, yeah, that's that room. If you need any assistance, any cleaning or anything, I mean, the cleaning is done automatically every time I close the portal and reopen it. It cleans itself. But if you want something cleaned right now, just clap your hands a few times, and he claps his hands twice, and the suits of armor come to life. They animate, and they attend him, and they start like cleaning him off and handing him a clean jacket and all this stuff. They hand him like a big smoking robe that he puts over his his undershirt and stuff. Like these are the servants for this little pint dimension. So, want anything brought to your room or anything of the sort, they can bring it to you. Just will it, and it'll happen. I have rooms for each of you, of course. Over here is JVH's, and it's a big door that's made to look like the JPCU, like your office door, the big, heavy metal sliding door.
Why do you know what my office looks like?
You're like, don't ask questions. And he goes over and like, my room's in the middle, and it's this big, very nice mahogany engraved door, the same one on his actual bedroom in his real house. And of course on the left here is X, and this door is
just a containment chamber.
Well, it's actually like it's a big, huge, bright red door made of like some weird like hellfire tree wood. So it smells like sulfur and like brimstone and fire, and it's very warm to the touch. Like the interior, you'll love it, I'm sure. And of course next door, this very tiny, like 2 foot tall, like doggy door, is Battlecroft's room, made to look like your house in the Fen, I assume. If it's different, let me know, and I can change it. Of course, let me know. And then you see this big door, this like 10 foot tall by 10 foot door, that's covered in like the windows of it are mirrored in the center and are made to look like fairy wings, because they are the fairies' rooms. But there's like big caution tape over them. It's like, that room is reserved for the fairies, but they're not here right now, so don't go in there. Yeah,
Fair enough.
Yeah, the rooms you might need: armory, training room, dining room, living room, sports rooms, pool. It's all in here.
How about a library?
I I've got it, but it's only like it. Well, it's a copy of the library in my house. So,
Fair enough. I just need an atlas.
oh, Atlas, yeah, sure. That's I got. What year? Pick one.
Any year, honestly. Yes. Honestly, I'm just gonna go to Boston Brook and say yes.
And like, well, and he snaps his fingers, and you guys like the floor, well, the tile, the big marble tile underneath your feet, like lifts you guys up like in an elevator, like it extends upwards, and brings you up to the second level, where like a platform extends, and this like big wall of books shoots out from the wall of the second level, and it's all atlases. This huge bookshelf, like 10-foot tall bookshelf, and like, there you are. Have a
That'll do.
have a gander.
All right. I'm just gonna take a few off the walls.
Yeah, sure.
For history of Ohio or Idaho.
All right, like, yeah, sure, of course, lovely. Like, again, you can't bring them outside of the portal, but so long as you're in here, they are replicas of the real books, so.
That should suffice nicely. I only need to do a little bit of research on our current area.
Like, of course. Like, and of course, if you, destroy anything, burn anything, blow up anything, it'll all be repaired.
You're being charged.
Yeah, I'm telling you. Like, no, it's all, like, not fake, but it's not real either, so it'll be replaced when we open the
It's
portal.
not fake,
So.
but it's fake.
I mean, yeah, it's a somatic illusion, so it's real enough. So if you break something, it'll be replaced easily enough. It's all, replaceable. So yes, I'll be
Oh, I know what I'll be doing.
burning the pocket dimension to the ground. I'm sure. He's like, yep. Well, if you need anything, I'll be in my room. And he descends back to the first floor and enters his pocket dimension room. Goes to sleep.
I will do the same with the many books, but I will not go to sleep yet.
All right. So yeah, I guess you can do some reading then.
All right. Well, I think I'm going to spend a little bit of time, testing the limits of Boston Brooks pocket dimension. What can be burned, what can't be burned, etc., etc.
Okay. So you just lighting things on fire. All of the things in here can be burned except for the floors, ceilings, and like the walls. So all the furniture, the paintings, the statues. Well, not really, but paintings, the furniture, tables, chandeliers. The armor suits you can burn, but they don't react because they're metal, so they just kind of stand there.
I think I'm just gonna, melt one down into slag. I'm just gonna play around with it like Play-Doh.
Yeah, so you melt that into slag, but it retains its intelligence because it isn't like physical. So you melt it into slag, and then you just like tell it to go do stuff, and it just like across the floor like an ooze, just like slurping around like a big amoeba, and it goes like you're like, oh, go and fetch me a cupcake, slag armor, and slag armor goes off, slurps away, and then it comes back with like a tray on its back, on its like ooze back, and it, with a single cupcake on it. Very entertaining. Poor animated armor. They can't feel
Poor
pain.
suit of armor.
Yeah. So yeah, he's X's off bullying the animated serpents. So yeah, GVH, you're gonna read anything in particular? Just like the
This particular mine.
this particular mine. Okay. This mine's only been around for a couple of years. Which you were told in the briefing and stuff. The quarry was the first to be here. It's a couple of years old, and then a few months ago, like a year ago, they found more valuable minerals in the mountains. So they shut the quarry down, and then a couple months ago, they actually like reopened the, likely they dug proper mine shaft and stuff deep into the ground.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, that's what you find. It's easy. It was originally a quarry for like several years, and then when they found stuff worth more than just the rock, they shut the quarry down and added the mine shafts.
Hmm. Anything about folklore in the area?
You can find stuff about folklore in the area. You just like wish that you had a book on folklore in the U.S. and an animated armor knocks on your door and you open it and he's holding a book on folklore in North America.
How convenient.
Yeah, it's very strange. When you open it up and you read it through, Idaho's got a few bits of local mythology, if I remember correctly. I did look this up before. Let's see. Oklahoma? No, Idaho folklore.
Lahore.
There's the usual like ghost sightings, haunted lakes. A lot of it has to do with Native Americans.
Okay.
There's a haunted lake, a haunted horse typically follows people around. The Idaho was originally home to like 3 or 4 different Native American tribes before the Americans showed up. So there's a lot of different folkloric sources. But you guys are in an area where the Nez Perce used to live.
What would that be?
They are a Native American tribe. They're a relatively well-known Native American tribe. They have their own language. They have their own, culture and stuff. They aren't like, I think they're technically, yeah, they're plateau Indians. So they aren't like that nomadic like the plains were, but they're nomadic enough.
Okay.
Yeah, they were also quite important before the Europeans showed up. They were pretty large, very important for trade, very good warriors, very good hunters. The sources you would see generally chalks up most of the folklore to like ghosts of Native Americans or ghosts of battle sites or haunted buildings, haunted lakes, haunted areas. Nothing specific to like druids, but you would know that Native American tribes like have shamans and druids and stuff. So
All right. Well,
so another thing you
this
would
is
read is that
definitely
the Idaho does
something
have
native.
its own version of the Loch Ness monster in one of its lakes.
Huh.
So it's a fun fact for you.
Interesting.
And, of course, you also read about the giant burrowing crabs of Idaho.
And the chickens, apparently.
Now, the chickens are a global phenomenon. The crabs are localized only to Idaho. For some reason, a landlocked state has crabs that burrow and they're giant.
Of course.
Yeah. So that's what you find on that front.
All right. Well, I've got no other necessary reading for the night.
All right. Cool. So you go to bed, and
Yeah.
as you all get your evening night's sleep, we can call this episode there.
Well, riveting indeed. Thank you all so much for joining us. And if you enjoyed it, let us know. If not, we don't care. We're not here for your opinions. But we'll see you next time on Quest for the Core.